Just you and me, bud. Always.
Hey, so Furies are the description below for just a couple of dollars a month. It would really mean the world if you did. The How to Train Your Dragon 3 trailer just dropped and we have so much to talk about. To be fair, it couldn't have come at a more stressful time, but Supreme Leader Mishka demanded it, and what was I going to say to that? No? If you would like
There were dragons when I was a boy. Where they went, only a few know.
To the opening line of the very first book, and it immediately tells us that something is going to happen to the dragons. We know from the writer's comments that the dragons are going to disappear in this film. Where they went though, only a few know. I just want to highlight that it's where they went, not what happened to them. If the question was what happened to the dragons, then it would imply that they could have died, which was actually a very real risk in the final book of the series. But instead, the question is where, and we do know where. It's my prediction. The fact that only a few know where they went may mean that all of Berk knows, but I personally think that it will genuinely only be a few people, maybe Hiccup, Hiccstrid, Fishleg, Snotlout, Volker, and so on. I caused battles with Drago Bloodfist, the Dragon Hunters, and is now causing battles with Grimwall the Grizzly, the villain of the third movie, eventually leading to the dragons disappearing, but being saved and heading away from all of the humans. But it could just be of the movie. Toothless also has that beautiful kind of sheen to him. The badges holding his cloak have little images of a Night Fury, and he's clearly bulked up at this point. There's definitely this feeling that Hiccup has come into his own as a man, but there is one massive detail that I the Berkian belt around his waist, raising the question of when does this exactly take place during the film? Now, we know that the film is probably going to end with an older Hiccup looking back on a time when there were dragons. And one way to interpret this shot would be that this is an older Hiccup, and this shot may imply that the two stay together at the end of the film. Though, I personally don't think that that will happen, as the director has talked about how the final film will end up with both Hiccup and Toothless standing on their own. This might be the final goodbye, or a blend of two shots between Hiccup and Toothless. It then adds a clip you may recall from the opening to the second film. We then get a frame of Hiccup looking out across the ocean, possibly alone and without Toothless. It's at sunset, which we can actually pair with a few scenes from the trailer later on. Iconic shot from the beginning of the first movie, that before they lived in the dark as they hunted and killed dragons, as they were primal and bloodthirsty. But now they have this vibrant utopia full of life and colour, quite literally. They've rebuilt the statues, there are Viking carvings, and this scene in particular in itself, and we do actually know from the promotional photos that Fishlegs is probably taking care of Meatlug's Gronkle babies, so maybe these are hers, though we really can't say for sure.
Your utopia, maybe.
At the end of the movie, Toothless became the alpha after besting Drago's Bewilderbeast. He became the leader of all of these dragons who used to live in Volker's Mountain, and they were happy coexisting there together. But it also includes all of Drago, and it's because of that that they go and try to find a new home, and that leads them to discover the hidden world. After all, that would be the natural conclusion of Gobba saying,
"Mine's less crowded and more sanitary."
We also see that lots of Vikings are lining up for food.
Wait up! Oh my god, he's not the only one.
She's a light fury.
Oh, now we are getting to the good stuff. At the start we can see, I think, Toothless still has his saddle on. Problem flirt. This one goes out to all of the Lady Light Furies out there. It does appear that this clip, or these little snippets, are mostly one scene, taking place eyes as he spots someone who looks like him for the first time in his life possibly, and the caution that she seems to have, her being more wild, not really knowing what to expect with him. That's really cool to see, to find her. Hiccup and Hiccstrid will then chase after him, and they'll find the Light Fury by the lake. The two will flirt a little bit, and then Hiccup will interrupt and cause her to flee, resulting in... Toothless's face is just perfect, it's so toothless. And I really like the detail of her eyes narrowing, that instinctual response of danger and suspicion. Now I was going to talk about the differences between the Light Fury and the Night Fury biologically that we can see here, and abilities. Unlike Toothless, she's not the last of her kind. But what I'll stick with is that this ability to vanish as she flies, to send out a plasma bolt and then seemingly poof into nothing, drop on a Reddit AMA, but he did it. It is interesting that we don't see any other Light Furies in the trailer, meaning it may just be sort of a circumstantial, very lightly, but definitely there against the white, which I definitely like, because I didn't want her to just be this plain white silver Light Fury. I wanted her to have her own patterns, in the same way that Toothless, actually when you look closely, has his own patterns and gradients to his scale. You can probably skip to this point in the trailer if you want to learn a bit more about how that might possibly go down.
Wow.
But rather it would be underground. And well, we were both right and wrong. It was underwater, underground. But more importantly, in Dean Du Bois's recent Reddit AMA, he actually talked about this hidden world, how it came to be, and he said it's saying that they go all around the world. We definitely don't know of anything of that kind of scale. That's somewhat unlikely, but it does seem massive as they're flying through it. And the fact that Hiccstrid and Hiccup are flying aboard Stormfly suggests that Toothless isn't full of these glowing crystals and gems, giving it this magical aura with a mix of blues, teals, greens, and reds. But there are two really interesting things that I want to point out. Anyway, there don't seem to be any dragons in the hidden world, suggesting to me that the dragons that we see in this poster are being led down there at the end of the film, because we don't see any monstrous nightmares or zipplebacks down here. Could be Light Fury eggs, but I'm not so sure personally. I reckon it's probably just a new species that we haven't come across yet. What I'd really like to see are some new species of dragons, especially ones that are native to this hidden world, perhaps kind of crystal focused in some fashion.
Toothless has a girlfriend.
And so we come back to the Light Fury. Now, we theorized originally that we would find the Light Fury in the hidden world, find her. And what we're seeing here is actually Toothless's multiple, very amusing attempts to woo the lady of his dreams. This tumble being so in character, and we all just feel like facepalming Light Fury appearing during the night, meaning she's probably nocturnal, that Toothless will go and find her during the night because that's when she's out. That's my suspicion at least, but she doesn't seem to be scared off by his terrible dancing, which I cannot say for me. The number of women that I have scared off with my terrible dancing is my favorite clip in the entire trailer. This little shot of the Light Fury batting Toothless in the face, maybe because he gets too close to her, that he doesn't understand mating rituals. It's just magical, and it really captures that sort of Toothless doesn't know how to act around other... Now this clip actually appears at the end of the trailer, but I'm bringing it up now because it's clearly part of the same scene. It's wonderful, it's magical, it's quirky, I really love it.
I've hunted every Night Fury, except yours. Hand him over.
I will never give him up.
And so the trailer takes a darker turn and we meet. My immediate thought was that I was wrong on my theory that said that Drago Bloodfist had hunted them down. But then I saw another detail in this one shot. The symbols on the ships, they match perfectly with those of... Then suddenly we have 3 different groups who all use these symbols on their ships. The Dragon Hunters from Race to the Edge, Drago's fleet, and now Grimmel's fleet. What if what we're actually seeing is a massive organization dedicated to the hunting or enslavement of dragons? This would feed that even when he's long gone, dragons will not be safe. We then get the shot of a framing being carried by 4 dragons of a species I don't recognize, but they have these massive tusks and red-black scales. I do have to wonder about the practicality of this beast. It's possible that he really only wants to kill Night Furies, that they're his sort of pet hunting expedition, but it's unclear. His weapon of choice seems to be a mini crossbow, which is pretty damn cool. They seem to like giving their villains really cool weapons, I've noticed throughout the series. And the likelihood is that he's but no. And then, of course, the drama ensues because he wants to take it from him by force.
Then I will destroy everything you love.
That with the scenes of battle that we see later on in the trailer. There's that same crimson tinge, suggesting to me that this major battle we see referenced several times throughout the trailer will involve rescuing the Light Fury from Grimmel's fleet. Whether it's the halfway or the endgame battle, we can't.
We are no longer safe here. We all have to disappear, completely off the map. We have to fight for their freedom.
And this line of Hiccups is actually really interesting. In saying we are no longer safe here, he's impliedly talking about Berg. It's the only real place with lines together for the trailer. I actually think that the line "we have to disappear" is going to come after him saying that we have to fight for their freedom. I think that he will initially try to fight Grim in the open. Listen to it again.
We have to fight for their freedom. We are no longer safe here. We all have to disappear, completely off the map.
So they clearly take place at two different points. But where to go? Well, what better place?
There were dragons when I was a boy. Where they went, only a few know.
It's possible to read these two lines together that even if Burke planned to go underground, they didn't in the end, that only their dragons did. That would be why their freedom. Then Toothless looking out into the distance across a cloudy sea, he isn't actually wearing his saddle at this point, and we've had so many shots of him without it, I think a lot of the movie is going to have Hiccup and Toothless separated, with him without the saddle. One with the clear sky though, which could mean that these are two different scenes or there are two assaults on the army, though we don't see Toothless or Hiccup fighting during the day with the Grimmel's army, meaning it may just be them surveying the area, perhaps could come under attack. We'll just have to wait and see. We can then see Hiccup diving forward with his flight suit to kick Grimmel in the chest, which is so badass, whilst he runs on a really like Hiccup's armor. I kind of want to cosplay it pretty bad. And then they're escaping from a fire explosion during the dusk fight that we've seen throughout the trailer.
Save him.
Same scene, across the time that it takes the sun to go from this to this. This may mean that the battle across Grimmel's fleet may culminate with Toothless being unconscious, or at least he seems unconscious to me, just falling out of the sky without Hiccup. It's my bet that this is like not of her using the vanishing shot flight ability, whatever it is. Hiccup isn't clinging onto her, so it either happened before he started clinging to her or she puts him down somewhere. We then see a gorgeous shot of the Light Fury catching Toothless mid-air, a kind of beautiful. So there you go, folks. We then get another image of Hiccup throwing his sword into a bunch of zipperback gas to cause some barrels to explode, probably sinking the ship, all taking place during that dusk battle that we've talked about throughout the trailer. And then there's this epic clip of Toothless and Hiccup emerge.
It's you and me, bud. Always.
And finally, we come to the end of the trailer, with one of actually the saddest moments, because while it feels happy with them talking about how they're gonna be together forever, it's kind of a sad line, because the film held by the tree in the background. They have the same sort of root structure. They're exactly the same. And finally, at last, arguably the most important moment in the entire trailer. Toothless can fly by himself. He has no saddle, and he seems to be unlocking a new ability. As for how he could fly alone, in the Christmas short, The Gift of the Night Fury, Hiccup actually made him a tail that didn't require Hiccup to fly, that he could just go off on his own, but Toothless destroyed it. He rejected it. I reckon he will make Toothless another one when both of them realize that they have responsibilities to their kind as Hiccup. And maybe this moment is what leads Hiccup to realize that they can survive without one another before the dragons go underground. Who knows? It's gonna be a hard movie to watch. There will be lots and lots of tears.
Cool, like suggesting your own video topics, stuff like that, would really mean the world. Question of the day, what are you most looking forward to that you saw in the trailer? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, I'd love you to come follow me over on Twitter, Facebook, email me stuff.